Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. I thought today we would talk about profiles when it comes to War Thunder. And the reason for this is because over the last few years, one of the major things that has changed in War Thunder is not just the addition of mechanics or the addition of new vehicles. What has fundamentally changed is how we actually see the game. Graphical improvements have been coming thick and fast, starting with, of course, Update New Power, which has set the groundwork for a lot of the stuff that we've seen over the last few years. We've also had some UI changes, which have been nice. Obviously, the most recent ones not really working too well, but I'm sure they'll get them fixed at some point. But the main thing, after looking at all of these changes, it starts now showing the parts of the game which haven't had any changes. Whenever you have, let's say, a painting and you improve certain colors of it after a certain period of time, then you start to see the wear even greater in other areas. And I think that's what I see nowadays when it comes to War Thunder. With the new hangar, with a lot of the new graphical settings, with a lot of the new additions such as the replay rewind, it brings into focus some of the other parts of the game which definitely need a little bit of fine-tuning. And one of them is the profiles. The profiles are something that hasn't really been changed since the game's existence, really. They've changed a slight little bits of it when it comes to certain imagery or when it comes to the way that medals are shown, but that's really about it. We haven't had any massive fundamental changes which have made it look nicer or look better in a more expansive way than just shifting a few things around. So in this video, what I'm going to go through is a few different things to try and improve the profile, to give people more stake in it, instead of just some extra profile pictures from stuff such as the Battle Pass and also events like the History Page events, which are still fantastic and still nice additions, but I definitely feel like there could be more. The first one is a very simple one, which could just add a little bit of pizzazz. Generally, when you have a look at images, one of the things that really improves them is a little bit of, I suppose, fluidity. That's why stuff like the loading screens are so nice, because when you move your mouse, the whole loading screen kind of moves with different layers moving with it. The other thing as well is when you have a look at some other areas as well, when you have a look at 3D imagery, for example, or maybe if you watch one of the War Thunder official streams, you'll see stuff like some of the images which are technically in motion, kind of in a GIF form, where the tanks are actually moving, they're actually firing, even though it is just a image which is, been kind of jizzed up a little bit with a bit of animation. And this could easily be added to the profile pictures, or at least newer ones coming in. It's even in one of the other Gaijin games that exist, or one of the games supported by Gaijin, Crossout. Crossout brought in animated profile pictures quite a long time ago, and they look absolutely fantastic. They look really nice. And I thought when it came to the kind of pseudo-Doom event that came in for War Thunder, I thought they would have done something similar with it. You can see with the different ones from Crossout, they just look absolutely fantastic. So I don't see why stuff like this could not exist for War Thunder in itself. I'm hoping that in the future, this is one of those things that does come in. Doesn't have to be a completely special idea. Could actually just be, once again, kind of like what they did with the Dune event, where you could improve certain profile pictures in a way where if you spend enough RP on them, or if you maybe use them for long enough in battles, maybe you can get XP towards them, and that unlocks different animated versions of certain profile pictures. That to me would be super cool, and it would mean, once again, an extra system in the game to focus on instead of the overall grind, which is one thing that I'm constantly looking for. They could also add a personal monthly ranking or some similar system, which would kind of be in a way like the Battle Pass idea, but more of a personal touch. So one of the things that the Battle Pass does is the more logins you get, the more dailies that you do, the more specials that you do, and also the more Battle Pass tasks that you do, you get more points. So the number goes up, you feel happy, you get more stuff. What if every month or every few months, maybe let's say every season, kind of like the Battle Pass, you get a personal ranking This is affected by how many wins that you get. This is affected by how well you do in the battles, such as how many awards do you get in the battles, and also affected by simple things like how many times you log in. So it's therefore available for everybody. Now, the reason why it would be personal and not public is because of the system that we already have in Enlisted and why it causes issues. In Enlisted, you have a very similar system, but it is there for the public, meaning that it is displayed on scorecards when you enter a battle. If you have one side with a ton of very high-level players on it, and the other side sees this, what'll end up happening is a bunch of people will just leave the game because they don't want to get their face smashed in, and who can blame them? The same issue could easily happen in War Thunder, which is why I would prefer it was a private monthly ranking with the opportunity, if a player wants to show their ranking, then they can do, but on the other end, they can either turn them off or put them on, depending on how competitive they want to be. So for me, this would just be a way of tracking progress once again and seeing how well you're doing, give you a little bit more of an kind of like an impetus to get a little bit better and maybe try different things in the game. Because the fact is, looking at the service record, you already have that area in the bottom right where it kind of shows your win rate, it kind of shows where you are on the scoreboard most of the time, and that's really nice and all, but usually people are much more receptive to physical changes on stuff to kind of see how you're doing, and that would definitely be one of them. Another thing that would be lovely to see is a text search function for the service record. You can now filter the service record by nation and also different types of vehicles. So between aviation, blue water fleet, coastal fleet, basically between the tech trees themselves. But what would be nice is if there's a little search bar and you could just type in a vehicle's name, or you could type in a partial name and it would come up with the closest options. Because the thing is, there are some times where, at least for me, when I'm trying to show off something, or when I'm trying to, illustrate a point, or looking through a vehicle and talking about its stats at a certain time, and I can't bloody find the thing because it's somewhere in the service record, and it takes me, a few minutes to see it because my eyes are pretty bad. So I would much prefer if there was just a way that I could search for it independently and it to pop up and then I can show it from there. I'm sure many other people have looked at their service records and wanted to see very specific things, but unfortunately haven't been able to find them because of that issue as well. So that would be kind of nice. Another addition to the actual service record itself would be just more values shown. You could have assists, you could have scouts. Assists would be very pertinent to something like naval, by the way, since you get a lot of assists in that. Scouting as well would be very nice to see how many, not maybe scouts, but maybe scouting assists that you got, what type of vehicles have been spaded. So do you have more aviation vehicles spaded than ground vehicles? Maybe they could have kind of sub-options to that area in the bottom left of the profile. That could be quite nice. To put in all of those, seem like pretty decent ideas to me. Just more information in it so you can kind of categorize things a little bit better and also be able to specifically search for more specific things. Another nicety would just be different colors, and this is something that we've seen in the new UI changes and also a few other parts of the game. One of the things that is an incredibly simple thing to have and also just gives a little bit of personality to things is different colors, and people would be able to pick which specific colors that they want to see when it comes to their profile. And then maybe when other people have a look at their profile, it can kind of show off those colors as well. So it would just give a little bit of a personal touch to different things. Now you can maybe unlock the colors, maybe you need to, you get some base colors, then you have to GE certain other colors, whatever works in that way. You could even, if you decide to go from, that colors, you could actually have different backgrounds. So you could have specific pictures. Maybe if you spade, or maybe if you research 100 vehicles in a tech tree, maybe you get access to that specific flag in the background of your profile. So you can kind of have like, I don't know, a British Union Jack sat there behind all of your different parts of the main area, just kind of as a transparent image in a way. There's so many ways that you could definitely change the appearance of it without having to do too many things to try and, push forward with those types of ideas. I think that would definitely be something I'd love to see. Another simple addition could literally just be borders for profile pictures, whether they are different levels of, third, second, first, or whether it's just different colors to once again give a bit of pizzazz. One of the ideas that I've talked about before is a prestige system when it comes to the profiles. So once you hit level 100, you can prestige, and you can, go from level 1 to 100 again, very similar to the payday system and also many other systems that exist nowadays. And I always thought by the time you get to the end of a prestige system, maybe you could get a unique border, so therefore people can tell which prestige you're a part of, whether it's platinum, silver, bronze, gold, anything. I suppose you could do emerald on one of them if you felt like it, but it's just to give a little bit of pizzazz, and once again, something to focus on, which isn't the overall grind of the game. All of these ideas are trying to obfuscate the grind, which doesn't mean that the grind isn't a problem. It means that one of the best ways to try and lessen something is to try and break it down into small pieces and focus on all of those little targets at once. So if the game puts through more and more little targets to hit, such as the stuff that we've talked about here, in certain ways, it means that it will be easier for the player to be able to go through the research stuff, the same way why dailies, specials, decals, all those stuff are very similar in that regard. And for me, the different colors and the borders for profile pics would be one of those things to actually focus on in that way. Now, a lot of these ideas, I've had for a long time, and I'm hoping that with this year being kind of like the 10th anniversary in a way, or at least ending with the 10th anniversary of War Thunder, we do get a revamp of some of the hangar and UI elements. And in-game we're getting them, now we just need them in the hangar and in the other areas. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank Nicholas Richardson, Elove Goat, Pyman675, Winter Scientist, Merciless Reaper, Jerry Prevolt, Megadino King, Orange Tail, Teddy, John Ryman, Universe, Ambrosius McClellan, Daniel Stanton, Moxie, B. Young, Uncle Bean, Sem Arslan, Derek R., Bareen, Lafouche, and Samuel Slick for supporting the channel.